Vaughn and Ben Thomas reporting. Stock indexes have made big gains since reaching a low point on Christmas Eve, and that trend continues today. Stocks in the U.S. and Europe rising on renewed hopes for progress in trade talks between the U.S. and China. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us. Our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com. Use promo code MATT, M-A-T-T, and get 15% off your purchase.
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us, our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com, use promo code DOC, and get 15% off your purchase. That's neverforgottenapparel.com.
All things food service, recipes, and restaurants. Spoony.
Hey folks, this is Chef Patrick Mosher, better known as the Food Biz Pro, here on Spoony Radio. We have shows regarding food, food culture, the restaurant business, consulting services for businesses, startups of all sorts, not just the restaurant industry. We talk about travel, food destinations. It's a lot of food, fun, and family. Mike from the World Food Championships will be coming on, giving us a weekly update on Saturday afternoons on what's new in the world of food sport. Yes, folks, I said food sport. No, it's not where competitors walk into Kitchen Stadium and beat each other to death with a limp fish. It's where you have 2,000 events which lead to the World Food Championships. Join us for the World Food Championship updates every week. Join us on Spoony on the Dash Radio Network, 24/7 Food Talk Radio.
We're not solving all the world's problems, but we're bringing people to the table. Spoony, food and fun. Hungry? So are we.
Yeah, I see I got a mic control here now. And so for 2 weeks, they've been programming me that, I'll just turn it off in the booth. Now they put one in here for me, and I forget to hit the switch. So welcome. It's Friday afternoon. Spoony listener, Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. Exciting times. Exciting times. Unless you have food allergies. Yeah. You have food allergies? I think your mic's
not on.
No, that one doesn't. So that one doesn't work. Just to make you feel good, like you control your own mic.
Me.
Exactly.
Happy Friday.
So Marta DeWolf is our guest in studio today, and Marta, I mean, food allergies really, as a chef, it's the scariest thing I've ever had to deal with. Yeah, really. I mean, I've seen people. I had a diner one time who came into it was a vegetarian restaurant. It's called the Vegetarian Zone. And he'd been dining there for years. I don't know what happened, if he just forgot, but we used cashew milk to make cornbread. And it was called cashew cornbread. He ate it and went into anaphylactic shock. Luckily, he had an EpiPen, so he was okay. But, I mean, it's commonplace now. I mean, when I was a kid, it didn't seem like that many people had allergies. But nowadays, it's like everybody's brother, sister, mother, father.
There are over 100 million people in the United States that have food sensitivities.
100 million. And so what's the population of the United States is like a little over 300 million now, somewhere in that range?
It's about a third.
Wow. And are we talking serious? I mean, when you say sensitivities, I mean, I eat things sometimes I get a little hive somewhere. I don't know. I used to think it was dairy, but I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. But I eat so many things, it's hard to trace it.
Well, there's a big difference between an allergy, which is life-threatening, or can be, or a sensitivity. So we really need to be discerning on how we're categorizing that. Regardless, even if someone has a sensitivity, they're going to want to avoid that ingredient.
Gotcha.
And I think with as it runs into restaurants, they're becoming more creative, and they're adding more nuts and different ingredients, and so those sensitivities are more widely exposed.
And that's with that creativity though comes possible exposure, right? Yeah, that's why you don't bring the phone in the studio, Patrick. But yeah, so with that again is this possible exposure, and we get creative for a couple of reasons, right? We're trying to take a dish that maybe is typically prepared one way, put our own spin on it. The other thing would be that we're trying to meet these dietary concerns of people that want, less fat or more fat, less carb, more clean carb, and alternative proteins. And people are shying away from dairy, and so you see this happen all the time. And here, I'm gonna fix that mic for you.
Okay.
There you go.
As the diets become more trendy, I think chefs are having to radically change to meet those trends.
Absolutely.
So it was paleo at one point, keto now, and it's so they're scrambling to be creative, yet those with sensitivities are having a difficult time discerning often what's in the food that they're eating at restaurants.
Well, because, we try to be as transparent in menu description as possible, right? But if I use something like a third-party product, a seasoning, or say a pre-made sauce, this thing keeps falling down. So we're just going to fix it. There we go. There. All right. So there. All right. Yeah, but look, we're a work in progress. Okay, love y'all. Work in progress. Give us a break. But what do you think? I mean, Brad Staggs has done a great job. Oh man, do we have a surprise for you? It's going to go on the wall behind me. I'll post some pictures when it's done next week. But it's phenomenal. Because people are more adventurous in dining now, right? We want more flavors. We want different flavors, exotic foods we never tried. So again, about 100,000 people with allergies, 100 million people, which that equates to about 200,000 emergency room visits a year, right?
It is.
Just from
one
food.
in every 3 minutes.
1 in every 3 minutes.
Related to an allergy or an inadvertent exposure. And people are eating out more now. So this is why the numbers are rising. There are more restaurants. People are dining. There's grab and go. So it's much more convenient,
and we value time over money a lot. So we're going to get into, what you've developed here, but tell us a little bit about your background. You have a background in nutrition,
right?
Which is basically
under the American Dietetics Association.
Okay. And that's basically a degree in microbiology or, okay.
Chemistry, nutrition are intertwined.
Okay. And, above and beyond that, though, you lived in Australia with your husband, and you owned and operated a restaurant there for a while.
For 10 years.
10 years. And, but for the last, how long have you been, so you have a very special way of treating people from a dietetic standpoint, instead of Western medicinal practices. And I don't know what that's called. I don't know what it's named, but
it's what I do is very comprehensive. And so if a patient wants to get off of medication, I'll help them with that. But I'm often referred patients that have specific diagnosis and that they want to, or the doctor, the physician wants me to address their diet first before putting them on medication.
Gotcha. And we've seen that even with the Mayo Clinic. I think a few years back that they their first line of defense or treatment for cancer, anyone diagnosed with cancer, I think pre-stage 4, was immediate change in diet, right? And I think that's fantastic. Well, the old adage, and I talk about this almost every day, you are what you eat is true. What I ate X number of days ago is now possibly your fingernail. Your cells regenerate from the inside out. And it's you don't think about that because we're a push button society. I'm hungry, push a button, pick up the phone, drive through somewhere.
But it's remarkable how quickly the body responds to changes. And if we do it in small increments and try not to comb out everything they love, but try to find healthier versions of those, that the body responds very quickly. It wants to be well under the right circumstances. It can be.
And so while you were in Australia, though, you studied a little bit differently as far as nutrition and health was concerned. And how did that happen?
There's a complementary medicine association, so we conferred with doctors and internists who also conferred with us, and also naturopaths, and so. Because everyone was on an equal platform, we learned and relied on each other. So I was able to bring back a lot of that knowledge. And it's very interesting now, the trends I'm seeing. Some of those we were doing 15, 20 years ago over there.
Wow.
And although it's an acceptance, there's a curve. And people need to try certain things that become in vogue, and also things that don't work often lead us down different roads that do.
Absolutely.
So I've been in private practice for over 25 years. There's not much I haven't seen.
So you and your husband live, part-time overseas. You travel all around, but and he's not from the U.S., right?
No,
okay.
Originally he's from France.
Okay, so And I'm not knocking Americans. Look, I'm just as guilty as anyone else. I'm prone to not eat properly, and I know how to cook, and I can cook quickly, but I choose sometimes not to. And we're programmed. We are literally programmed, right, from a nutritional standpoint to desire certain foods. Right. And one of the things I've noticed, so when I try to go on a really healthy diet, I try to cut out sugar, carbs, not carbs, but like processed carbs, packaged foods. And I'm sure at those times I probably have some sort of yeast overgrowth, right? So one of the most common ailments in U.S. anyway. Yeah. And so what happens when I start to detox, when I start to clean my body, right, and you start to detox, as those bacteria die off and they start secreting things that really make you want to crave sugars and carbs and processed foods.
It's a form of withdrawal. It
is. I mean, and I feel terrible
Headaches
sometimes.
come, shakes come.
Yes, it's one time I thought I had like the worst flu ever. My body was so achy and I just felt terrible. So when people are going through this process, what can they do to kind of alleviate some of that, other than lots and lots of water and is it a slow weaning process instead of just?
It depends on what they're coming off of. If it's aspartame or if it's sugar, aspartame or sugar.
There we go.
They have a very similar withdrawal effect. I would say for most people, 3 to 5 days of very firm commitment, because if they have small amounts, their brain response is still going to be the same. So it's the neurotransmitters that are acknowledging that pleasure zone. So really they have to comb that out and put in what they know is the antidote, so to speak. This is where I come in and advising them on different food items or different nutrients that would help expedite that process. So it depends on which one that they're pulling out of their body.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can just hold that. There. I know it's a pain in the butt. That for some reason this is not tight enough, and it keeps slipping down. The mic keeps going lower, but yeah. In the break, I'll try to tighten up. So if you're just joining us, by the way, this is Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. We have Marta DeWolf in studio today, and you can watch on Facebook Live. It's Spoony Radio's page. You can go to spoony.com. You can find us on iHeartRadio. I believe we were live stream on Spreaker. If not, we're up on podcast on Spreaker right after the show. You can check out most, if not all, the episodes there of mine, and also Doc Thompson's House of Flapjacks. Yeah, he's pretty funny, actually. He's a funny guy. So, I mean, detoxing is one thing. It's that time of year. People really want to do that. Absolutely. But the allergy issue now, again, before we get into this kind of not solution, but a tool for those with food allergies that you've created, have you seen an increase over the years of, Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Ron. I'll talk. I'll ask a long, thank you. I looked for a flathead screwdriver the other day. I couldn't find it, and my key didn't work very well. So my question, I'll make it long. So as far as the number of people with food allergies in this country over the last, say, 20 years, or thanks, Ron, and that's why we have Ron, because I can't even remember to unmute the mic. So, God, I can't believe he's going to be gone next week. I know. What are we going to do without him?
Hand holding.
Yes. Have you seen a kind of a proliferation or an increase in the number of people with food ingredient allergies or sensitivities?
Well, we all have. They used to serve peanuts on the airplane, and they don't anymore. And we all used to come to school with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and now they're not allowed in the school. So I think our generation in particular is seeing that more because but I really believe it has to do with intestinal and digestion. If those are addressed, the intolerances which are much different than an allergy. Sensitivity and intolerance is often due to an inability to digest a certain substance, and an allergic reaction is very different.
Yes, that's an inflammatory response.
So we really need to make sure that everybody who's gluten intolerant doesn't necessarily have celiac.
Yep. Yeah, because this could be sensitive, but not celiac disease. So in that case, then, so I don't remember again when I was a child so many people having allergies to food. I don't. I'm sure now. I do know that everyone has an allergy to something, right?
Or may it be an insensitivity?
Yeah, but if you eat enough of it, right? Mm-hmm. The thing is, for people, you kind of have to exceed that tolerance, right? But once you do, and that allergy kind of, I don't want to say appears, but becomes apparent, it's very hard to get back down below that threshold, right? Is there a way to reverse that? Once you've developed a sensitivity to strawberries or shellfish or something like that, is there a way to then bring yourself back down below that threshold so that if you do come in contact or accidentally consume, that you don't show the symptoms that you didn't used to show but now do?
It's possible if we address the digestion and of course prebiotic and probiotic get the gut bacteria at proper levels. However, the intolerance to a substance sometimes can be triggered even years later, and so it really is a process of getting the immune system and the endocrine system up to scratch again, and all the pancreatic enzymes, and we work through that. However, there can be an allergic reaction years later, so we have to play each case by year, but it's highly likely, as long as it's an intolerance and it hasn't bridged the gap to an allergic reaction.
Gotcha. But it can develop into an allergic reaction from an intolerance once you pass that threshold.
Absolutely.
Okay, so to speak. Okay, so you bet it. She just put it more eloquently. That's why I cook for a living, and I'm not a doctor because I couldn't figure that part out. So you, now I know your father has an allergy, right? And for those that don't know, I don't know Gary's last name.
Flager.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gary Flager. Gary Flager is one of the owners here at CMT, where we are housed in the studios here, and they're a very gracious group of people. But Gary has a severe allergy to onion.
He does.
What was he, about 6 or 7, I think, about the time he figured it out, right? Because he used to go to the garden, like pick onions out of the garden and just chew on them and have some stuffed in his pocket and go inside, and he'd wonder why he didn't feel well. Right. And so they figured that out. And so I'm sure there are other family members. I think his father
and his wife is lactose intolerant.
Oh, is she?
I remember one Thanksgiving my sister cooked for us, and she said, "I'm never going to cook the 3 of you again because I don't eat meat. My dad doesn't eat onions, and Circo's lactose intolerant. Try cooking a meal for us 3."
So
never again.
No meat, no onion, no dairy. I don't. I'd try. Yeah, it's okay. I can do
this
that.
Is not being picky. This is due to intolerance.
So now, when you say meat, do you not eat any beef, or do you just no actual animal flesh? Do you eat seafood, fish, or
occasionally? It's not a moral issue for me or esoteric. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, I get it.
However, most of my patients do eat meat. In fact, my family, all of them eat meat, and I do cook it for them.
We need a new repair guy, Ron. All right, he tried. He tried.
Is this better?
Right, yeah, it's fine. Okay. And you have a soft voice anyway, so it's okay.
And I'm not opposed to it. I am weary of hormones and growth hormones and flavor enhancers. So when I buy meat, I steer away very quickly from any hormones.
Yeah, and I think that's that. We spoke about that on another show on our sister channel, and that's the bigger thing, is not whether or not it's a GMO, because a lot of times that's just crossbreeding of something with something else.
Absolutely.
But yes, the hormones are definitely a detriment to, because your body doesn't know what to do. It's not a toxin we're used to.
Well, it's fat soluble, so that's reabsorbed in the liver.
Yep.
So
it's a problem to try and filter that out. So you did come up with a really cool, if not solution, an extremely helpful tool. All right, and it's called My Salu.
Salu.
The health, right?
It's the Latin root word for health, which you'll find in Portuguese language, Spanish, and Italian. Salu means health. So My Salu, it came about because I had a patient who was rushed to hospital due to an inadvertent exposure to MSG, and the restaurant swore up and down there was no MSG, but it came in through a third-party ingredient.
A sauce or something that was included.
Within 15 minutes, she would have passed. And also, I had another patient who hasn't eaten out in 35 years, and you said earlier it's a convenience factor.
It is.
Can you imagine not being able to eat out because of fear of the reaction? So
no, I mean, I can, but how frightening is that?
And that's the antisocial component. So most of my patients that have food intolerances or allergies will either eat out before they go, or they will go and pick through something, but there's this underlying fear. And there's also there's this tension between the restaurant and the person with the allergy. And so after 4 or 5 patients coming back with very severe reactions, I started looking for a tool for them to use so that they could find restaurants they could safely dine in, and it didn't exist.
No, so I looked when you told me about that. There is no other. Now there are a couple of places where you can get like websites or blogs or just information exchanges where you can find a place that may accommodate your allergy, your food dietary restrictions, but nothing like this. So My Salud, tell us how My Salud works.
It's using crowdsourcing. It's an aggregate of the diners that have dietary restrictions. It allows them to share the restaurants they can dine at, and when the person downloads the app, they create their own profile based on the foods, ingredients that they avoid, and we also put in some other environmental, like loud noises. I prefer local, I prefer vegan. Of course, we couldn't put in all of the allergies because there's just too many, so we put in the most common, and we also put in environmental situation. 60% of stroke victims will have dysphagia, which is the inability to swallow. So that's a very strong.
It's a big deal. They chew their food forever because they don't know what to do next. A lot of times.
And you know, it's scary for the people dining with them when they have something caught. So dysphagia is in there. But what happens? The person downloads the app, they create their profile, and they can immediately start searching all across the nation for restaurants. And we really just launched. What we know is that the more people with dietary restrictions that use the app, the better it will get. And so,
yeah, of course, it'll become more accurate and more all encompassing. So, are you seeing more users in that specific regions versus other regions, or is it kind of?
There are, I think, about 5,000 restaurants now that are spread across the United States, and
that's actually pretty good.
It is pretty.
That's a good start
for just launching, I would say. And what we also done, the patient said, "Well, Marta, I've got a long layover in Atlanta. Where should I eat?" So this is a component we put into the app that has 12 major airports and about 250 restaurants in those airports.
Very nice.
So what we're trying to do is, one, allow the dining experience for the diner with allergies to be more confident. They can feel safe. And also, inadvertently, it's become a reporting tool, which was not our original intention. We'd really like to focus on restaurants that are trying, that are being creative with gluten-free pizzas, et cetera, and highlight those restaurants. But inadvertently, it has become a soft reporting tool in case somebody gets for instance, MSG exposure. I had one client 2 weeks ago cease breathing. And so she opened up the app and said, "I love this restaurant. However, if MSG is your thing, avoid it. If it's not, it's a great restaurant." So it's a way for those with different sensitivities to be able to tell each other about where they can eat, and then also be a soft alert in case there's some place that they should avoid. Be careful.
And with that many people affected by allergic or sensitivities or allergies, I mean, you would think that almost every household, one person should have the app. Really, when you think of it, when statistically speaking.
Well, my business partner has a family member, and this is why he's so passionate about it, because he has seen when they dine out as a family, the waitress is running back and forth to the kitchen. The chef has to come out. Everyone's embarrassed. Everyone's reached it up to here with that person and says, "I don't want to dine out with you anymore. You're such a pain." So he says, we need to get something And so within our app, the person can call the restaurant.
I have time.
And let them know they're coming, and this is their restriction, and then therefore Chef Patrick recommends that you have this and this. And so the diner says, yes, okay.
That's awesome. Or you could also probably, because I've had diners call ahead of time and they'll say, we have one on our party that's gluten-free, or, it has celiacs, or has a really, definitely allergic reaction to this. And that's always kind of nice. So if you can pre-warn the restaurant or give them a heads up that you're going to be there,
absolutely,
it's always nice for the chef to be able to know, because especially even a day in advance, even if you don't show up, for us to have something on hand for you to enjoy and not make it. Look, chefs shouldn't care. If you have a dietary restriction, then you have a dietary restriction, and you need to let us know, and that's fine. I don't mind going to the table. But for us to know in advance so we can pre-prepare that, because finding out at 7 o'clock on a Friday night,
when you're busy,
it makes it very limited. So, okay, well, you can have a baked potato with butter and salt. That's it. You're done. Right. But that's not what we want to do.
And they're playing it safe. And the other thing is, if you're in a business meeting or you're meeting new friends, you don't necessarily want them to know you have celiac.
Or
this
whatever
is private,
happens to be.
Or whatever it might be. And
absolutely.
So that's your private business. This enables you to keep that to yourself, let the restaurant know, but also to confer with other diners that have your same profile. You can follow them. They can follow you. And the other neat component, what we've done is we've allowed professionals, dietitians or nutritionists, to create their own profile. And so they rate as professionals.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we're gonna take a quick break. My IBS is kicking in. I gotta go. No, I'm just joking. We're gonna take a quick break. Please come back on the other side. We're here with Marta DeWolf, and we're talking about her wonderful new app, My Salu. That's MYSALU. And don't forget, we're gonna have Mixed Metaphors famous Cheryl Heisler calling in with What Are We Drinking Friday and What Are We Drinking Saturday. Stay tuned, Spoony. We'll be right back.
Today, with all the crazies out there, has to be nuts.
Yes, it really would. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a place you could go to find people who think like you do?
Like me, like libertarians and conservatives?
Right?
There is. WeThePeople.dating.
Amazing. What a genius idea. This is a site that you can go to if you're single and you are looking for somebody who you're going to think the same way, as for from a political freedom standpoint. If you want to date the right person for you, you'll find them in one place. WeThePeople.dating.
Take the pain out of ordering your diabetic testing supplies with Diathrive. Diathrive ships the testing supplies you need directly to you when you need them. Best of all, with plans starting as low as $8 a month, Diathrive is probably going to cost you less than what you're paying today. Diathrive is so convinced that you'll love their service, they're offering your first month of supplies free. Simply type the code DOC, D-O-C, at checkout. Diathrive.com. That's D-I-A, thrive.com.
It looks like you're losing.
I am.
Are you losing weight?
I am losing. I've lost about 10 pounds.
How are you doing it?
Funny name, but I've done it with Riduzone, RIDUZone.com, and the stuff works. It's, you get into all that, the molecule this and the found in that. All I can tell you is it makes you feel full, and it keeps your mind off of wanting to overeat.
And also boosts your metabolism, so you're burning more.
Yeah,
try it today. It's going to work for you like it's worked for Brad and countless other people. Riduzone.com. RIDUZone.com.
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us. Our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com. Use promo code MATT, M-A-T-T, and get 15% off your purchase.
Follow Chef Patrick Mosher on Twitter @Food Biz Pro.
Hey, look at that. I remembered to unmute the mic. Amen. Something went right on a Friday afternoon. All right. We are here with... do we have a caller? We have a caller. Is this my Friday caller?
We do.
Cheryl.
It is.
You didn't get lost in the desert.
How are you?
You didn't get eaten by a cactus or a mountain lion or something in Arizona.
I'd say I'd left a trail of ice cubes, but that wouldn't last too long out here.
Trail of ice cubes. That's funny.
The weather is I hear there's a snowstorm coming to Chicago. I may never go home.
Well, it's going to be in the 20s here in Dallas, Austin, and Houston here over the next few days as well. It's nice out today, but it's going to get cold. Well, hey, I know. I couldn't get you in touch with Justin. I'm very sorry about that, but I will find him. We will figure out where he is, and we will hold him accountable for not being available to hook you up with dinner and give you a tour of the resort. But that aside, what do we?
It was a great mistake because one of my favorite places so far on the trip is the place where he used to work. You guys sent me over to the Valley Ho. The Valley Ho,
I'm telling you, that place has been there forever. I mean, I moved to Arizona in the late 70s when most of those roads out there were dirt between Scottsdale and Phoenix. And they did like a $3 or $5 million renovation. It was a very extensive renovation about 7 or 8 years ago. And it is beautiful. It is a fantastic place to be.
They talked about it as sort of the playground for the famous from California. All the stars stayed there. And in fact, when you walk in now, it's just got that retro California feel. You've got some of the, I don't know if it's called a teal blue or a sea blue and
seafoam, seafoam green, teal blue.
Seafoam blue, yeah. So you just walk in, the vibe is great. And the bartending staff were so lovely, and they took me through, all the different things. They had just changed their menu. So they put them through their paces to give me a rundown. And when we get to what we're drinking Friday, I got to tell you about this cocktail I had because it was the only disadvantage, right, when you're not the one creating it, you don't know exactly what the proportions are. I'm going to go home for my trip and reverse engineer it because it's that good.
Well, I did write down the ingredients you sent me. And so, for those of you who don't know, mixedmetaphors.com, you can go there. Cheryl Heisler is a mixologist, an amazing flavorist. I had to say a bartending flavor, a drink flavorist, actually. She creates custom drinks for your as a gift for someone. It could be a birthday present, could be just something you want named after them, or for your parties, for your special menu, your special event. It could be a themed drink, it could be a seasonal drink. And anyway, it's Mixed Metaphors, as in Metaphors, POURS.com, and Cheryl will hook you up, I'll tell you. And if you happen to be in Chicago, just tell her I said to drop her a line, and she'll take you out to. No, she won't take you out to dinner, but she'll tell you a place to get a good cocktail.
I will make that drink, that's for sure.
All right, so
you want to talk about my best?
I'm telling you, yeah. So this is the
Friday.
This is the Confortado, right?
I guess it sounds like the person who comforts you, and I don't know if it's Comfortador or Comfortador, but it's spelled like comfort with ADOR at the end.
Oh, that sounds so good.
And it's a tequila-based drink, so that you're using a reposado tequila with a little bit of aging to it. But then they added some of the things they had to actually show me because I've never heard of an Oro Blanco grapefruit, but they took this brand of grapefruit and they added the rind to their simple syrup. So it's got the oils from the grapefruit skin, which is bitter, but the sweetness from the simple syrup. So already you got an extra step in there, which you're like, okay, this is going to be good, right? So you got your tequila, your grapefruit oil syrup. Then they added Gifford brand Pamplemousse, which is a grapefruit liqueur. Again, it sounds like an oxymoron, right? You've got the bitterness of the grapefruit, but liqueurs are usually sweet. So that's messing with your flavor taste buds. Then they use a bitter.
It's messing with me.
Azuka, I think it's that's a great name for it, too. They have a little bit of the bitter. And then they pull from the kitchen, right? And they go to their citrus, and they take the Japanese yuzu.
Oh, and that's my favorite citrus, by the way.
Oh, I know it from sushi and from the Japanese salads and things, but I love that they put it in the drink. And then besides an orange and a lemon peel on the top, they add fresh pepper.
Oh, do they grind it over the top?
You had to taste it. Yeah, freshly ground over the top. So you're getting all these wonderful flavors, but nothing's fighting with anything else. It's just citrusy and bitter and sweet and spicy and yum. I got to say, that's before the trip is over, I may have to go back there for a second round.
Well,
it was really nice.
I don't have I'm sorry. I don't have the exact ratios. I did post it on Spoony's Facebook page at Spoony Radio. But that sounds delicious. And when you have a mix of these the citrus, right? So when you have lemon, it's bright. When you have orange, it's a little sweeter, and lime is this. But when you have that mix, that blend of citrus, especially those complex citrus like the grapefruits,
I think
that's it. The drink is very layered.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nuanced. So it's not just here's your good old squeezed grapefruit. Because we're seeing, if you're looking at trends, what I'm seeing here is that, first of all, it's not just we're in the valley, so we're going to drink white whiskeys. They're using all kinds of barrel-aged drinks here, just like they are in the rest of the country. The restaurants here, let's go half a step back. They call it the Valley of the Sun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to call it Valley of the Fun, because every place you go, there's a bar, a restaurant with a bar, an outdoor space. They all seem to be jammed. So they're not just messing around with here one or two drinks to try. Aged bourbons, aged scotches, aged tequilas. They're finding their way into all of these cocktails, and they're on the top of their game. This is not you can talk about the food scene here. We've eaten wonderful meals.
It's a good place to eat, I'll tell you. Yeah. Well, they have to be, because you have Arizona State there, which is where I went to school. They have, 40,000 students or whatever they have, 47. I don't know. It's a big school. It's a very big school. And you have the largest migratory population of any state outside of Florida. So you have a lot of the snowbirds that come there in the wintertime, and you have to perform. You have to you have to cater. You have to serve at the highest level. And it was really interesting growing up there. I lived in Chandler, which is about 30 miles south of where you are in Scottsdale.
Oh, sure, not far from here at all, right?
As a matter of fact, go straight down Scottsdale Road, and it takes you right to Chandler. So, but the variety of food that's available there. They grow everything from pomegranates to, I'm just talking about just fruit trees, right? Pomegranates, several types of grapefruit, oranges. You have apricots. Oh my gosh, there's this place southeast of Chandler. Oh my gosh, as you go towards the Santan Mountains, and there are these groves. One side is all orange trees, and the other side was all the apricot trees. And we'd go out there with a paper sack for like $1 and fill the whole paper sack with apricots and come back. I would eat them till I was sick. Oh, it was so good. I'm getting goosebumps from thinking about that. Yeah, go ahead.
This morning, I dropped off. Part of my family went mountain climbing, and couple hiking, I guess is a better word. You could tell I'm not the climber. They went hiking. And the rest of us went over to the boulders to just check out the property there. Also another very well-known, very lovely resort.
Beautiful golf course,
And in addition to all the golf course and the property, they have an organic garden where they're making they're growing all of the things for the local restaurants, or the hotel property restaurants. We saw grapefruit trees, orange trees. It looked like two-color lettuce growing in the same, like a red and a green leaf lettuce growing on the same plant.
Head of lettuce?
I don't know how they did
Wow.
that. On the same head of lettuce. Beautiful herbs. I'm trying to think what else, but it's like right there, and you just realize when you've got sun 350 days a year, you can go ahead and do this and make everything local, organic, fresh, and pick it up and then use it. They had Swiss chard with the golden beet base, the red beet base, and the golden beet base. You just wanted to break it off and start chomping on it right there. It was so pretty.
So can I tell you?
Oh boy, if you've got ingredients like this.
So a friend of mine told me they were like, okay, you need to slow down when you talk. But I tell you, I get so excited thinking about food that when I try to describe it, my tongue gets tied in knots. It's like my feet are, your feet are running faster than your body can, or your body's falling forward faster than your feet can keep up. And I just can't slow down. I really can't. I have to force myself to slow down and think and be clear. And I love that, because that's what I want to share with. That's what the whole thing. This platform is to share not just our passion for food and drink and lifestyle, like a healthful lifestyle choices and fun and family, of course, but to share that with people in a way that inspires them to believe that they can, and give them the tools to cook anything, right? Achieve anything in this realm. And it's so much fun. It really is.
It's fun, and it's beautiful, and it's delicious. I have to tell you, while we're talking about other trends here, it seems like since I've been here a couple of years ago, the number of breweries has also increased.
Oh, there are a ton.
We had to make a stop at a local brewery, and we tried some interesting. There's a
Where'd you
company
go?
here called Four Peaks.
Oh, Four Peaks, yeah.
Four Peaks. They were down the street from Two Peaks, which was not far from Two Brothers.
Yep, and then there's Mother Bunch, and there's Santan Brewery, and there are a bunch. Trust me. Yeah, you can hit them all. Hit them all.
The light we tried at Four Peaks included a Scottish-style red called Kilt Lifter.
Yes, they're actually famous for that one.
Okay, well, there's a Belgian wit that was yummy, very Blue Moonish. A black IPA that wasn't terribly hoppy, but really smooth. There was a Kolsch, a crispy kind of a light, almost like a lager,
Yes.
a Kolsch beer.
Yes,
and
that's from Cologne. That's my favorite. That's my favorite beer. It's Kolsch. That you can't say it in English. It's Kerlsch, Kolsch. But yeah, it's difficult to make in this country because we don't have the same water. But that's my favorite beer. Just saying.
It was delicious. And then we also tried a green tea beer. Just
really matcha beer.
It's interesting, but hey, you start playing around with this stuff, and you never know where it's going to go.
You don't. As a matter of fact, I had tequila. I was did the breakfast beer. Well, what used to be beer for breakfast Friday. Today we did tequila with Matt Locke, and we actually had the founder of what is it?
Number One
Tequila. Alex.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he's partners with Ron White, the comedian. But what they do is they have this beautiful añejo tequila that's aged in oak barrels for 3.5 years. I mean, in bourbon barrels.
Oh
man,
beautiful.
It was
you're drinking a tequila.
Awesome. It was awesome. I couldn't have any more on this show because I'm sure I got to drive later somewhere. So, all right. So let's get to what are we drinking Saturday? Because I got a couple things I got to wrap up on the show today. But what are we drinking Saturday? I haven't posted it yet.
What are we drinking Saturday that's okay, but I'll just give you a half a second background. It was inspired by the best good time we had at what they call the social hour or the happy hour at Citizen Public House. It's in the Old Town Scottsdale.
Mm-hmm.
It is a terrific restaurant with a fun menu any time of day, but their happy hour menu and drinks were to die for. You can get a $5 glass of the Ned, one of my favorite Marlborough New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a $5 bottle of Nero d'Avola from Sicily.
Oh man!
Normally you're going to pay easily $12 to $14 just for a glass at a regular bar. So great values, and they also have a menu full of barrel-aged cocktails. So you want to have something great. You don't know for sure if you're going to like it. You want to try it. $6 to have some of the most fabulous drinks. No, not a flight. You got to commit. But
I was hoping. They were on draft. I was hoping so. Oh, that's so $6. That's really reasonable.
And we're not talking about just a gin and tonic or something. So what we're drinking tomorrow, what I know I'm going back for come happy hour, is a drink called instant gratification.
Oh, and that is American society defined right there.
Hey, it's vacation. I get to do whatever I want. But it's a combination of Hennessy, VS Cognac. Again, I am going to have to go back and figure out the proportions. Some Glenfiddich, 12-year-old Scotch. Just think about the pricing. Each of these ingredients alone could be a $5 pour.
Absolutely.
Grand Marnier, Montenegro Amaro, and then a Mole bitter with an orange peel accent.
Mole bitters.
It was.
Wow.
The palate is dancing.
And maybe it was the mole that the mole gave it almost a chocolate flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So it was boozy but balanced. The orange citrus freshened it up. The cognac gave it a little bit of sweetness. Wow.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, for the younger generations, okay, whatever orange liqueur you want to use to make your drinks is great, but nothing compares to Grand Marnier, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's just exquisite.
It's actually smooth enough and not cloyingly sweet enough, not overly cloying and sweet, so that you can actually, if you wanted to sip that as like a post-dinner digestive or an aperitif or whatever pre-dinner, you can.
For sure.
You can. Now, the hardcore old bartenders I know, they shoot those, but I can't do that. But really, that's I even use that for when I make my margaritas instead of some other sort of.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for reminding me. I had a margarita at a place that I'm not going to name because I'm going to pan it, and it's fairly famous here, and they're supposedly famous for their margarita. Such a disappointment. It was, I think, a $15 drink. Compared to this happy hour instant gratification over at Citizen Public House that I flipped for. So it reminds you that you don't always have to pay a lot to get a fabulous drink. If the bartender knows what he or she's doing, the balance is there, the ingredients are there, you can find amazing libations, and it just makes I think a vacation that much more special when you have memories, not just of the place, not just of the hikes, but of the food and the beverages that you enjoyed with your group. So we're going to probably do a little Scotch tasting tonight. One of the hotels.
Okay, now you're just poking the bear. You're poking me in the eye now. That's not nice. Not nice at all.
In the warm weather without a coat, that's where I'm going to be. But hey, don't feel too bad. I'll be back in Chicago after they have their snow tantrum. So I'll have to go back to drinking hot totties and things like that. But
hey, we are at the we're at the 40th anniversary of the blizzard of 78, 77? No, I'm serious. That was
I think you need a drink for that.
No, I mean that was man. I was a kid in upstate New York at that time. That was a bad storm. I know. I mean, there were some place got 20 feet of snow. That was a bad deal. Anyway, all right. Well, Cheryl, you have a safe travels. Don't get bit by any snakes. Keep your feet away from the rocks, and don't touch any cactus.
All of that's good advice. You guys have a good week too. I hope it doesn't get too cold. And I'll talk to you from the frozen tundra of Chicago next Friday at our usual time.
That sounds good. Hey, and send me the name of that place off the air. I'll badmouth them. I'll bring it up in a different conversation. I don't mind. No, I'm just joking. No, what I'm going to do is I'll shoot an email to someone I know there. I'm sure I know a lot of people in the Valley. So. All
right, but you've got everything you need for posting tomorrow, so people are going to have their version of instant gratification.
Oh yes. The Hennessy. Oh yeah, I have the list in front of me. I got instant gratification's number right here.
Sounds good. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Cheryl. Talk to you soon. Again, that was Cheryl Heisler of Mixed Metaphors. You can go to mixedmetaphors.com. She's a fantastic mixologist, can pair drinks with your seasonal needs, whether it be a party, an event, a themed event, your menu, birthday gift, just check out the website, mixedmetaphors.com. She's awesome. Anyway, is she fun?
She's fun. What a dream job.
I know. Yeah, travel around, taste and drink so you can make some up and send us on the air. And the thing is, we're going to build a bar here so that I can and slowly stock it as we make these drinks. We'll slowly stock the bar, and Ron's like, it's not on the budget, dude. You're going to pay for that yourself. But actually, no. He gave me that. Well, okay. I'm going to take that as a half-hearted yes, maybe.
I can stand behind stocking a bar.
Yeah. Ron, so by Friday, Ron is like, dude, let's just get out of here.
Well, Cheryl was pretty happy.
So
I think what it could do for the ambiance around here.
All right. So, hey, there's something really important. We were talking about the app. Okay. My Salut. Mm-hmm. All right. That's MYSALU. Is it mysalut.com or?
Mysalut.com. Okay. It's also in the Apple Store mm-hmm. and in for Android.
Okay.
So we have it on all platforms.
Nice.
Really, the intention is for those who are concerned about dining out safely, so that they can find restaurants and they can also find people who have their same profiles and follow them. And so that they can let others with their same restrictions know where they can eat safely. Mm-hmm. So it's really people helping people. One component that we put in, I previously mentioned, I think it's an important component, is that we've created a professional profile, mm-hmm. options for dietitians and nutritionists to put their ratings in and also gain exposure in their city or town mm-hmm. or region, so that if somebody in their region, let's say, has IBS or has kidney disease, they can look to see, who is this dietitian or nutritionist that's making ratings, and then call them for some help. And so in the profile, they'll state their areas of specialty. Mm-hmm. And what we're really trying to do is lessen the impact for both the diner and the restaurants, but allowing professionals to interact mm-hmm. and be part of the solution.
Awesome.
And it's a tool that's going to make a difference.
Well, I'll tell you, I've thought about this before, and I have used this to some extent, depending on the type of restaurant. But having if you can afford it, if you're opening a restaurant, having a nutritionist come in and look through the menu with you could be of extreme value, because there are sometimes we take for granted that we're using soy. We don't think about there being wheat in soy, right? Mm-hmm. So when someone says they have a gluten intolerance or that they can't have wheat, we don't always, even as a trained chef, people don't think about it.
Right. I did an audit for a 5-star restaurant in Seattle. Mm-hmm. Ended up being a 30-page. I went right through every ingredient, read every label. And he said, every restaurant should do this. I
Absolutely.
found a few things. And so I even said, with this dish, these people are restricted.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so eye-opening. And really, now the responsibility is not necessarily the diner, but it's shifting. Some of the responsibilities to the restaurant. They should know what's in their ingredients and what's in their food.
Absolutely.
And so it is shifting the liability. So we're trying to minimize that impact.
Mm-hmm.
And we have helped a few restaurants find, when we had a customer who had inadvertent exposure, the restaurant said, "Can you get in here and help me find it?"
Mm-hmm.
By all means.
No,
we
absolutely.
don't want this to happen again.
So, how do people reach you then if they need your services? Now, for this particular, or is it? Oh, so that's another thing. You offer a variety of services. You know, you're I'm going to use the term healthcare professional because you are, and especially specializing in the nutritional, treatment of ailments and diagnoses. So how do people reach you? Are you referral only? Family,
My website is martadewolf.com.
Okay. And that's DEWULF.
That's it.
Okay. And Marta is MARTA, no H. MartaDeWolf.com.
And also, so I see people with a whole range of ailments, either trying to prevent progression or relieve themselves of that diagnosis, which they can. They can heal completely, or get off of medication.
Okay.
But ultimately, and then also as far as My Salou goes, if you go to the website, mysalou.com, they can contact me directly through there.
Awesome. And that's MYSALU. All right. So we're going to talk about some, all right, I'm going to sit back here because I'm going to talk about me for a second. So there are certain, what we say personality types, right? But a lot of that is actually driven by some biological component to the body. Like in my case, I know I'm fidgety, I'm hyper, I'm very driven, I don't sleep well. And I know a lot of, some of it, much of it has to do with histamines in the body, right? Now, you can talk people through the process or not, doesn't really matter, but it just causes this nonstop cycle of restlessness and
it's a form of fight or flight.
And I used to suffer severely of severe panic attacks, which have gone away over the last 10 or 12 years. But I mean, like I lived in Japan and I'd get trapped in a train, and I would just fight to get to the next stop. And the reason being that, so there were two things that happened. A, you have the panic, the fight or flight syndrome. You reach the threshold,
right.
You go into panic mode, your heart rate increases, blood pressure goes up, you feel dizzy because the muscles are tightening over your scalp, and you think, okay, I'm going down. But at the same time, you're like, I'm crazy, I'm fine. If I tell someone, they're going to think I'm crazy. It's this vicious cycle, right? And so you learn to deal with it. I mean, I was on medication for years. Is there a natural way to filter that out of the body through supplements, nutrition, some sort of chelation? I mean, I know chelation works two ways. One is for absorption and one is, extraction. But
right. So in particular, the way that the body functions, when you're in fight or flight, your calming neurotransmitters and hormones are suppressed because you need to be able to fight or run.
Yes.
And so the others,
or at least your body thinks you do.
Yeah, it thinks it does. So your excitatory are increased. So really, and that happens also with somebody that's in long-term pain cycle. Their excitatory hormones and neurotransmitters are at peak, whereas the calming dopamine are suppressed. So really what we need to do is to put in either the precursor or put in neurotransmitters or amino acids that for the brain that will help those calming hormones and neurotransmitters increase. At the same time, comb out the diet. Those are called excitatory neurotoxins.
You mean I have to change my diet?
Not necessarily. We can have later.
Trust me, I know I need to change my diet.
You probably feel it when you have something
Absolutely.
that they're called excitatory neurotoxins, and they really cause the nervous system to peak.
Yeah, and I mean the simple ones are like caffeine. Like anybody who knows me and listens to my show knows I pretty much only drink decaf, but that doesn't mean that the stuff that is bad for me isn't in there, right? Because there are some 400 some compounds in coffee.
And some preservatives and some, preservatives and food additives, flavor enhancers can have the same response.
Actually, artificial sweeteners are really bad for me.
That's my platform.
I didn't want caffeine, right? So I drink caffeine-free Diet Coke, and I loved it. And the chemical aftertaste and all, but it was terrible for me. I could feel almost immediately, like one sip.
It's terrible for everyone. It has a direct impact on the nervous system. But the nervous system is so intricate, they can't necessarily say, as they could with saccharin, that aspartame causes X. Mm-hmm. Saccharin led to cancer in laboratory mice. But the nervous system, people were getting migraines, depression. There's even a recent article about strokes, all possibly from aspartame. So if the jury's still out on that, I think everyone should just avoid it.
And then you think it's you're thinking something simple that's derived from orange peel, right? That how could that be bad? Well, there's a reason you don't eat the orange peel, right? You may put some oils in a drink, or put a little zest in a dish. But when you chemically process a component out of that it changes the whole. Not to get too geeky on everybody here, but
even the diet, though, you can put in precursors to those neurotransmitters. For instance, walnuts.
I like walnuts.
Walnuts, beef, those are the precursor to that lead to serotonin. So if really just by looking at the diet, there's really simple things that people can do. They don't need to know the chemistry behind it.
Yeah, well, like, so, I told you my mom died when I was like in 01 or 02 and 01. And so they put me on medication, Paxil, which is a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, right? So basically it lets it run around your brain instead of your body reabsorbing and having to produce new. But it makes you kind of dead to the world. I mean, it was weird. And when I just quit one day after like 6 months, I couldn't do it anymore. And the withdrawal from that was, I used to have these like electrical tingling, like an electric shock up my arm from like one point to another point, and it would happen like you just kind of twitch. Like, it's like, whoa, like who shot me with a cattle prod? But anyway, it helped me through that period. I'm not knocking Western medicine and medication, but again, through diet, exercise, proper nutrition, you can have, I guarantee you'll have a better life.
Absolutely.
To some extent.
And it really is, we live in wonderful times where allopathy is here, and when we need it, it's really good, traditional medicine. But also there's a lot people can do for prevention and to get off of certain medications.
Oh, and there we go. So, all right, Marta DeWolf, that's Marta, MartaDewulf.com. You can check out everything she can do for you, health guru. Your dad's such a gem, I can tell you. And, don't forget MySalu. That's MySalu, MySalu.com, or you can find it in the App Store for food allergies and sensitivities. Anyway, thanks again for listening, Spoony. Spoony followers, Spoony listeners, share, tell all your friends and family. We're changing the world one bite at a time, or maybe we're just making you fat one really unhealthy meal at a time. I don't know. Join us next week. We'll be back on Monday. Ciao for now.
This was fun.
Talk to you then.
This is the only 24-hour Take Anywhere platform dedicated to food and fun. We're Spoony.